This morning, we are being presented with one of my favorite Gospels. The Gospel today about the apostles fishing for nothing is a sequel. It's the second time that they did this. And the Gospel really has a lot of meaning, and a lot more meaning than I think many of us often reflect upon. So you're going to reflect upon it today. If you remember, the first call of the apostles was what took place in the sequel today. The first call, the apostles were fishing because that's what they were. They were professional fishermen. And they'd fished all night. And as they were returning toward the shore, there was this itinerant preacher standing on the shore. Some people knew him by the name of Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth. And he said, "Hey guys, catch anything?" "No, there's nothing out there." "Well, why don't you throw your nets over the side?" And you could well imagine the indignity almost of the apostles. Peter, saying, "Hey, you teacher, me fisherman, we're the professionals, and we're telling you that there's nothing out there. We've been fishing all night, there's nothing out there." But if you say, so that he could prove Jesus wrong, and they cast out the nets, and they pulled in so many fish that they overfilled 2 boats and almost sunk them. And when Peter got to the shore, he went to Jesus and he said, "Leave me, Lord, I am a sinful man." And that's when Jesus commissioned him to follow him, and he said, "Don't worry, from now on you're going to be fishing for men." That was the first time, and that was the call of some of the apostles. Now, in the gospel today, post-resurrection, post-crucifixion, post-death of Jesus, it happened again. Peter says, "I'm going fishing." And some of the others said, "We'll go with you." Now, you might not think much about that, especially those of you who are fishermen. You're going to say, "Yeah." But there's a lot more to this than that. Basically, this is right after the Lord's death and burial. Oh, they've heard some rumors. They've heard that some people have seen Jesus, but they were just the women. They didn't count. They weren't going to listen to them. They didn't see it for themselves, because as the gospel ends, says this is only the 3rd time, So they don't know what they're going to do. All they knew is the person that they believed who was the Messiah was arrested, tried, convicted, and killed. That's all they knew. Well, yeah, and placed in a grave. That's all they knew. So Peter basically is saying, "You know what, guys? I'm going back to my old way of life. I was a fisherman. I'm going back again." And some of his partners said, "Yeah, we'll join you, because there's nothing else for us. There's no hope. It's over. Let's go back to our old way." And therein lies the danger for each and every one of us, because our human nature often has us looking back and going back. When we get upset, when we get depressed, when we get whatever, there are times that we just give up moving forward and we return to what we were used to and what we were comfortable with. If you want proof, let me ask you this question. How many of you are still doing your Lenten resolutions? Gotcha. As soon as Easter is over, boy, you gobble that candy, you drink that coffee, you do whatever it is that you gave up because you go back to your old way. The gospel is a reminder to us not to look back, but to look forward.